All right, everyone. Welcome to this new moon Sidereal Astrology forecast. This is for the weekend of March 16th to the 18th of 2018. All right, so new moon this weekend on Saturday, new beginnings having to do with Pisces, essentially integrating more acceptance in our life, and through this more peace, tranquility, and just a greater connection to the present moment and the receptive and intuitive aspects of life. So with this new moon, there are quite a bit of aspects involved with it. For example, there is going to be a conjunction up to Chiron, so very good healing energy coming in. New chapter with healing some wounds, transformation through that healing. There is a square up to Mars, so maybe some tension perhaps, so non-attachment is always good. We'll talk about that. There's a trine up to Jupiter, so there is some wisdom coming in, some open-mindedness, maybe even some opportunities because of that, and a sextile up to Pluto, giving us the opportunity to transform in a way that maybe we're feeling a bit empowered or willing to dive deep with this very spiritual new beginning here. All right, so let's look at all of this here in more detail when we return. All right, so here's the chart for this new moon for Saturday. The new moon will be at 0827 Eastern time. If you are new to the channel, be sure to check out that link down below. We are using the actual signs of the constellations, which does change some of the signs from mainstream astrology. So be sure to check that out for more information on Sidereal Astrology. All right, so yeah, the new moon in Pisces conjunct very closely, conjunct Chiron actually. So new beginnings involving what is essentially what has been taking place for about this past year, a little over a year now with Chiron here, is this healing with our relationship to the present moment, right? Healing these wounds that as a result of that will help us be more accepting, surrender what's outside of our control, find that peace essentially that Pisces is all about. It is the last sign of the Zodiac. So it is about coming full circle back around to essentially surrendering everything that is not in the present moment, which is essentially also like saying surrendering everything that's outside of our control, right? And through that, this spiritual liberation, this spiritual peace, this present moment connection, right? This is essentially what most philosophical or religious teachings are talking about, right? In their own way, of course. But this is essentially what we all truly want at the end of the day is spiritual peace, right? Is this tranquility, this connection with the divine, if you will, right? So we'll all go about this in different ways. Pisces can represent a lot of different things. It can be directly more spiritual for a lot of us. Great time for things like meditation, spiritual activities, right? Things like yoga, stuff like this. But also, if you're more psychologically inclined, this is a really good time to get into the psyche, right? Great time to understand more about our unconscious and ourself on a deeper level, psychologically. If you're more artistic, this could be a new beginning with your creative side, right? Pisces is very much about music, the imaginative arts, again, to get in touch with the present moment, to connect to that receptive nature. All right, so new beginnings with this collectively. I'll actually go ahead and put down in the description down below the houses this will be for the different signs. So do check that out if you do want to see which house this is involved for you. That'll be more personal. But collectively, there is this new beginning with this acceptance of what is, which leads to greater intuition, greater receptivity, greater compassion as well, right? And themes pertaining to letting go of what's outside of our control to essentially find that peace. All right, so the conjunction up to Chiron, yes, healing with this. Very important, I think, new chapter with this. If there's any wounds that come up, during this time, during this lunar month, basically, excellent time to be doing some healing with that. Again, just like Pisces, essentially accepting the wounds, being aware of them, and then accepting them is really, the name of the game. But if there is anything that you do want to cultivate in this cycle that will be confronting wounds, or that you'll be doing in the face of wounds, and by doing so, you'll feel healed and rejuvenated, Great time to set some new intentions with that for the month. All right, so let's take a look at some of these other aspects we've got with this. Actually, I do want to say, the dispositor, the traditional ruler of Pisces, Jupiter, is in Libra. So a lot of this could be coming through relationships, one-to-one related stuff. It could be through that. And I think we're all sort of revisiting the whole relationship sphere right now with Jupiter retrograde. So maybe this is part of it with the new moon. Now, Jupiter is going to be trining up to it. So I think there's a lot of wisdom, a lot of open-mindedness, perhaps even some opportunities because we're open-minded with relationships perhaps. But again, most fundamentally, finding peace, maybe spiritual teachings, philosophies, gurus, things like this, supporting the new beginning here with acceptance, with peace, stuff like this, maybe travel for some of us, but very supportive there with that more expansive stuff in life. All right, so there is a square to Mars with this. That's going to be quite impactful. So this is the challenging aspect with the new moon. There's mostly easy aspects, but the square to Mars is a challenging one. So collectively, there is this sort of tension, right? The ego can be quite strong with a square to Mars. So being observant of this, right? Again, in the present moment, being aware of the ego's needs, our needs, right? That tension where we're trying to go after the thing we want or to assert ourselves in some way. There's very strong needs, or sometimes with Mars needing to control situations or whatever it is, and being observant of that. And that process will likely help us be non-attached, right? I think that's the best way of working with any challenging aspect with Mars, is to bring that observation and practice non-attachment to our personal needs. And that helps the energy flow. Now there's that side of it. There's also maybe if there's not enough Mars energy, maybe some things we can challenge ourselves with to take initiative, to be direct, all right, to set boundaries, things like this that can certainly facilitate it when done in that non-attached, healthy way with the square. All right, so those are the most important aspects with it. There's a minor sextile up to Pluto. So this isn't, a given like the other aspects, but there is this opening for this willingness to dive deep with this new beginning, which is great. Very much supporting it. Again, in Sagittarius, this sort of wisdom. Even Mars recently going into Sagittarius. It's a lot of higher perspectives right now, bigger perspectives, the big picture, seeing from the top down. But with Pluto, being willing to dive deep, right? Being willing to make some changes, maybe change some of those belief systems, how we're viewing things, perspectives, right? But then maybe again, empowering ourselves to do the healing because we're willing to dive deep and make changes. Right, so that's the new moon in a nutshell. Let me go ahead and show you all the transits for this weekend. No other major aspects going exact. We do have the sun, who will eventually go over Chiron with that conjunction of the new moon on Sunday. So maybe a new chapter sort of unfolding in steps with the healing. Of course, the actual new moon on Saturday will be a new beginning, but maybe on Sunday, another step in the right direction with some of that healing. All right, and we do have some trines with the North Node with Mercury and Venus. We usually don't feel these very personally, but maybe some things to learn about our life path, about our own personal life path this weekend, which could be good. And yeah, most important thing is the new moon, 0827 Eastern time on Saturday. And as we approach it on Friday, just kind of, letting the energies die down, doing some clearing perhaps on Friday to make space for the subtle new beginnings, which will be slowly going into next week. All right, so have a fantastic new moon weekend, everyone. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all Monday for the daily forecast.